What is good, guys? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down some very important things that are going on with SPY, which is going to be important for Tesla, what you should be watching for as time progresses in the markets. But before I begin the devil's information, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. If we put in $1,000, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and the offer ends very soon. Anyways, looking at SPY, we have some very, very important developments. First and foremost, this thing pumped after PCE data came out. It was good data. Everything was aligned with the expectations. I already went over this, and the market pumped. SPY broke a new all-time high. But then this thing started to dump. This thing started dumping. And during this dump, I just want to mention that max pain on SPY is at 484. Now, we have a big change in the options chain. We have now just under 500,000 calls expiring for today, and we have just a little bit over 900,000 puts expiring for a 1.87 puts to call ratio. But here's the thing that's going on. With that being said, the most beneficial close for the market makers is 484. Technically speaking, anything at there or above there will actually benefit them. So they could, push us up to 490, they'll be fine, or they could drop us to 484, they'll be completely fine either way. But technically speaking, it does work to their benefit to get us to that level of max pain, at least for every single week. But in this case, let's now talk about whether or not that's going to happen. So for SPY, I want to talk about SPY because this is very, very important for the market and Tesla. Even the QQQ was tracking SPY today when I was actually watching them. So here's the thing. So SPY basically had this nice looking bullish wedge setup. It basically was uptrending, respecting this yellow trend line, and we ended up breaking all-time highs. But unfortunately, SPY has very tight levels, and it didn't end up breaking from 488 up to about 490. We came just short of that before we ended up getting this turn. Now, the thing about this is this, okay? Look at the trend. Let me show you something very important. Notice how we came down like this, right? We had this yellow line, right? We bounced off of it, then we touched it. We bounced off of it, we touched it, we bounced, we bounced, we bounced, we bounced, we pushed up, and then we got this big push up because they're grabbing liquidity up here, and then we just broke below the yellow trend line. So to zoom in like this, let me show you. We broke down, we came back, we're trying to backtest it, we were trying to break out above this, and we ended up getting a rejection. So here's how I'm going to go about this. There's a risk of SPY potentially falling more, which could slow the market down. You want to be very careful. If you want to be bullish on SPY, you need to see this thing get back above this yellow trend line. Get it back above the yellow line and break above 488, and we're bullish. Okay? We tried, we failed so far, and we're looking kind of weak. If we continue sinking, we have critical support at 486 because we held this support here. We bounced off that level during the pre-market. 486 is going to be key. If we lose that, our next target is 485, and we're basically going to get very close to max pain. Max pain's at 484. So once again, there's going to be a bigger risk of downside if we lose 486. What do I think this is going to do? As of right now, it's kind of shuffling, it's just fighting, trying to get back above 487. But in all honesty, it's looking a little bit weak. So be very, very careful on SPY. Now, this is very important because for stocks like Tesla, which are heavily dictated by the market, right? Tesla dropped really hard. All right. No surprises there. I told you yesterday Tesla should rebound. And we actually got a really nice rebound. Tesla got almost up to 187, 7 points to the upside. Not bad, right? Not bad whatsoever. But now Tesla's starting to reject. And if SPY starts sinking, this could slow Tesla down a little bit more. So you want to be very careful at this support on Tesla. Now, the news that came out, I want to actually kind of go over this for a second. We're seeing all these headlines saying the same thing that I went over in the morning. Let me just close that for a second. Sorry about that, guys. That Tesla has 200,000 recalls. 200,000 Tesla vehicles are on recall because of excuse me, guys, I apologize, a rear view glitch. All these negative headlines are coming out. But the truth is, Tesla released an over-the-air software update to address the issue, and this is in accordance to the NHTSA's policies. So I went over this, And what's interesting is these headlines have this in such small text. This is part of their body paragraph, and the main headline doesn't even mention that. All it says is they're recalling this many vehicles, this and that. That's very misleading. Okay, it's not the real situation. It's not the truth. So be very careful with these headlines. I'm calling this out because over and over and over again, I'm just seeing the same headline coming out. If you just look up Tesla news, this keeps coming out. So I just wanted to address that. Anyways, going back to Tesla, Tesla is holding 182.5 as our support right now. If we lose this, our next critical support is basically 180. And we have to hold this yellow line. If we lose this, there's going to be a risk of a bigger drop. For resistance, watch 184.4, where this resistance is from right here. If it breaks above that, our next target is going to be the high of the day. We have to try to get above 184.4 to break out towards 186 again. So watch that very, very carefully. However, as SPY is selling off, there's going to be a risk of Tesla coming down a little bit more. But it's not the end of the world for Tesla. As long as Tesla holds 180, it's going to be in an okay place. It's going to be in an okay place. If it loses 180, it's not going to look good for next week. Okay, so watch 180. That's going to be a very critical support. Tesla's just very close to that and it's trying to base. So watch that level very closely. The QQQ is looking a little bit weak thanks to SPY selling off. I would say, excuse me, guys, I apologize. I would say watch 424 as resistance and watch support right now. We have some minor support at 423.5, also 422.5. If we lose that, 421 is going to be our next targets, followed by 420. Now, for the QQQ, we got this nice bullish breakout from the falling wedge. We broke out to about 426, came just short of 427 before we came back down. We're likely going to shuffle in this range just under the 424s, but just know that there's always going to be a little risk of downside if SPY continues selling off the way it is. So just be a little bit careful on the QQQ. We will see how we end up closing from here. But just know it's looking a little bit weak. It is favoring the bears, a little bit more. On Nvda, Nvda is currently at, let me see, 610 right now. We have resistance at 612 above that, and then 616. For support, you're going to be watching 607 and 605, this range right here. Nvidia has been selling up for about 3 hours now. It's just shuffling around the 609 to 610 area. It's going to likely just be stuck for some time. It might sell off a little bit more. I think that it's going to be stuck for the most part, not really expecting too much for it. A little bit boring. This is a very, very boring phase right now on it. So I think it's just going to shuffle. I'm not really expecting that much. It might start selling off a little bit more later on, looking at the structure. So just be a little careful on Nvidia. Watch your supports and just know there's a slight risk on it. For Aapl has, let me just double check this. We have 192.5. So Aapl basically has this kind of resembles a head and shoulders distributive structure, which is favoring the bears a little bit more. We basically have to hold 192.5 or this range and 192. If we lose that, we're going to fill this gap down to 191.27, which will drag the market down lower. So those are going to be your supports, 192.5, 192, and then this gap down here, gap support, followed by 190.5. For resistance, you're going to be watching the previous supports becoming resistance. So like right here around 193-ish, around there, that's going to be our resistance. 193.5, 194.4, and 195. What do I think Apple's going to do? I think it's just going to shuffle in the 192s for the rest of the day. There's going to be a risk of it selling off if we lose 192 flat, but I think it's just going to shuffle and go back and forth until then. So with that being said, guys, that's it for this one. Thank you all so much for listening. Know the market's looking a little bit weaker, so just be careful and watch that max pain on SPY. Be a little bit careful for Tesla. Let's see if Tesla can try to hold 180. That's going to be very important. So watch 180. We'll see how Tesla does. And with that being said, please have an absolutely spectacular rest of the day. I'll see you guys again after the market closes. Thank you once again, and peace out.